Hello, good morning, welcome. It's a Thursday. I hear the days are getting shorter and the nights are longer. This will remain so until March. Okay then, welcome to this morning. Away from politics, we discuss the economy, specifically the Naira. And we ask the question, with $40 billion in reserve, is the Naira not undervalued? Now, the national currency, the Naira, that is, remains the most battered and abused legal tender on the planet. The alarming descent of the Naira into the abyss came in the Babangida years when it was at the ahem. Not only was the Naira ill-advisedly devalued 3 times, almost all factors of production came down irredeemably till this day. Late last year, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele projected that the country's external reserves would hit the $40 billion mark before the end of 2018. Well, I can tell you our reserves got to the threshold before the new year began. Question, could a lower exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar not be achieved at this point in time? That forms the kernel of the discourse this morning. Let me introduce my friends and guests. Dr. Jide Johnson is the Deputy Provost, Nigerian Institute of Journalism. So he's a teacher, he's a journalist, and he talks economics. Yes? Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Citizen Johnson, and good morning to our viewers at home. Okay,
Alessa Wilcox is a chartered accountant, and so he knows all about figures and stuff like that. Alessa, welcome.
Thank you very much, Cesar. I can always say Happy New Year to the esteemed viewers. This is my first time this year on the program, and it's nice to be here.
Okay. Let's start with you, Alessa. With $40 billion, $40.2 billion
yeah.
in the kitty, look at the Naira, the exchange rate. Must the Naira continue to be at the mercy of speculators and so on?
Citizen, thank you very much that this topic is up at this time. Like you said, let's divert attention from a policy bit and look at the ones that really affect me and you on the streets every day, which is the economy. It's nice that we do that. Be that as it may, it's also gratifying. In fact, when I saw the figures, when it was released in December, I was so happy, delighted, at least coming from a less than 28 billion in 2015.
Yeah.
And building up to 40.2 by the end of 2017, a space of about 2 years thereabout, is cheering and gratifying. But coming directly to your question, the amount of money having a reserve has, in some instance, a proportional relation to your value of your currency, because that is what is used to strengthen it. You know, but if you look at 40 billion, to the Nigerian size economy and to the Nigerian population, import-dependent population economy like Nigeria, I think 40 billion is a child's play. It's a good step in that we have involved a lot of discipline in our monetary and fiscal policies. The CBN has, tried various policies measures in order to stabilize the currency and to grow the reserve. Some of the things that was causing uproar before was because the CBN was trying out a lot of things. And if you discover now, the currency, number one, is stable. Stability has turned into the currency. Since the second half of 2017, the currency has been stable at the parallel market.
When you talk stability of the Naira, the man at the bus stop is still, not clear about it.
Yeah, to break it down before I allow my brother to come in. To break it down is that when you have stability, there's no volatility. Now, if you discover what happened, let me just take it from when Buhari's this government came into power. The Naira was made as an official rate of about 170, and a parallel rate, that's a black market rate, of almost 230, 240 then. Now, the moment Buhari was declared winner and was sworn in, the Naira appreciated to about 215 thereabouts. And then after a while, it started depreciating. That is the volatility. It starts depreciating, start falling. Today it is.
What causes that?
No, because of speculations, because of non-availability of forex at the official window. Yeah. Because we had just about 27, 28 billion, and the import dependency of the country, it's about 5 billion monthly. So at 28 billion, if everything should go, that's about 4 to 5 months import, and nothing. That is, you will just go bankrupt. So the CBN has to tighten up a little. So that now increases pressure on sourcing and availability of forex, and so it started jumping, and then speculation, and then the Nigerian factor, which plays about 40% in terms of our price composition, because everybody just whoa, dollar is falling. So it just keeps fluctuating. And at the peak of Naira 2000, Naira is falling, sorry. And at the peak of, and at January 2017, we hit the 520 Naira mark
to a dollar.
At January, February, 520. And then at that point, the CBN had to really, because they have already built up some reserves, so they have to intervene by making provision of, by providing more money to the markets. And so it starts falling. And then the CBN pegged the parallel rate at 360. If not for that pegging, by now I'm sure we'll have fallen to about 300, because at the black market, now this is the first time in the history of Nigeria that the black market rate and the CBN parallel market rate is the same. And it has remained so for a greater part of 2017.
Yeah. Jide, we say the Naira, the exchange rate yields to market forces. Do you know what forces we are talking about here?
Yeah, it's about what obtains in terms of, he said it, that we are import dependent, and when you operate at the global level, it is the market forces that determines the pricing of whatever product, because there's no regulation, there is deregulation. So it's how many people are willing to buy, and at what price are you willing to sell. It's based on the demand and supply chain when we talk about market forces with respect to the value of Naira, or value of one nation's currency to that of another nation. Speaking for the man on the street and talking from experience growing up in Nigeria, at the point in time in your opening monologue, you pointed out that even the Naira was stronger than the dollar. I remember in 1981 when Bashali was to fight one global fight, and then they said they would pay him $100,000, which was equivalent to 90,000 Naira. Then you begin to ask your question, how did we degenerate to this level? So the issue of the valuation of Naira is not a function of this administration or last administration. It has been a consistent problem we have had from the 80s till now, when military took over governance, and the market forces were not allowed to play. We are putting benchmarking. Even now, as we are talking about market forces in Nigeria, there are some exemptions. There are some exemptions they give to people. Probably if you want to go to Hajj, or if you want to do this, there is the different value. So we are not allowing the forces to take control of the market.
You would rather the forces to
the government should leave it so that the market forces would determine, not for those that want to go to Hajj, for those that want. I was reading the Senate report, and the Senate report is saying that government should give concession to people importing fuel so that it can force down the price. When you begin to do that, you are not actually allowing the market forces to control their intervention. How do you monitor that? Let me conclude with this. I didn't know how Ghana was able, because at a point in time, Ghana's currency was not as strong as that of Nigeria. It was terrible. What template did Ghana use to ensure that the value of their currency improves than that of... Now, it comes to, because you can't separate that, it comes to political will.
Okay.
There is the need for the political will for you to ensure that. And I think we'll get there in the course of our discussion.
Yeah. Can I please address that, the last point? And I've tried to address this point in several forums. maybe it's not sticking, but let's do it here again. Ghana currency was very, very weak in terms of number. Ghana was operating in the tens of thousands level of their currency, just like the Italian lira, just like the Italian lira then.
Okay.
The Italian lira then before the advent of euro. Now, what Ghana did was simple: to remove 4 zeros. The currency never improved. They only denominated the currency, decimalized, yes.
Okay.
They removed 4 zeros.
From the right.
From the right. And so it becomes a single unit. Now, at the time, and that was even the undoing of Ghana economy. But because Ghanaians are not as import-tested like Nigerians, it never showed. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you. When the redenomination came up in 2006, during the twilight of the Kofi administration, when it came up, 6 zeros was the Ghana currency was 9,000 cedis to $1. So it becomes 0.9. That is 90 pesewa to the dollar. Okay? Everything denominated. Salaries went down. Everything went back to by 4 zeros. So if you are earning, say, 200,000 Ghana cedis, you begin to earn 20 Ghana cedis. So everything came down by 4 zeros. If the price of any good was 10,000, it came down to 1 Ghana cedis. That was what happened in Ghana. Nothing. But now, the currency now lost more than 6,000% of its value. Because as we speak today,
that's the cedi.
Yeah, the cedi. As we speak today, from 90 pesewa in 2006.
Pesewa is the unit.
Is the unit.
Yeah.
To the dollar, it's now 4.30 cedis as at last year when I was in Ghana. 4.30 cedis. How many percentage loss is that? So sometimes we don't understand these things and we brandish it to Nigerians, and they buy it to clients. So the Ghana currency is no way healthier or stronger than the Naira.
The economy?
The economy, in terms of size and population, and in terms of size vis-a-vis population, Nigerian economy is still stronger.
Okay.
Very, very strong.
Because I cannot forget in a hurry, Jide, that many companies, some key companies took flight.
To Ghana, yes.
To Ghana.
I know that.
Why?
I know that.
That's where we're going. We said,
yeah,
exactly. We said that we are import dependent, and the fuel industries we have locally relocated to Ghana. Why? There's a political will for government to take that decision. Should we have taken that decision in 2007 when Ghana took that decision in 2006? Should we have used some of these reserves? We will still come there. Should we have used some of these reserves to build infrastructure, to put power in place? What is the essence of keeping money in your reserve when you could use that money to build basic infrastructure that will allow your economy to grow?
CBN governor at the time broached the idea to President Obasanjo, if you remember.
So what's the essence? It's like you having money in your bank account and your family are going hungry. The basic things of life, you can't afford it. Now, if we revived our power sector, we revived our infrastructural sector.
Put simply, agents of production.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If we revive that, the economy will grow, because all the companies that have relocated from Nigeria to Ghana will come back to Nigeria. We patronize made in Nigerian good. We buy Nigeria. We make Nigeria great again. Just like what Donald Trump basic principle is simple. Everything should be America. Yes. So it will be Nigerian focused. Until we do that, the value of Naira and the dollar will be at inverse proportion.
One more thing. I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact that in that same, when Soludo made that advice, that was when $16 billion was pumped into the power sector, which translated into the Jaradua administration, dovetailed into the Jonathan administration, who increased it by another $6 billion. And we went to about $20-something billion invested in power between 2006 and 2015. And we didn't go beyond...
Today, we cannot generate...
As at then, we didn't go beyond 4,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
So it is not the injection of the fund, but the Nigerian political will, like you said, to make such funds work. Now, in Ghana, there is corruption in Ghana, yes. But every city brought out for a project goes to that project, maybe 10–15% will get lost into the pockets, usually. But a substantial part of it will go into that project. That's why Ghana has near self-sufficiency in power, uninterrupted, until they had the problem that resulted to the term of Dumso. Dumso means off and on. Okay. So Ghana, since after the Rawlings Revolution, Ghana has been building step by step. Successive governments followed the same, but they may have their own political agenda and everything, but they will just keep saying that Ghana is Ghana.
Keep the ship afloat.
Afloat, but which is lacking in Nigeria. Now, one other thing, citizen, that also affects the rate of the Naira, before you go to your next question, is the fact that, you know, you are not keeping money in the reserve. The reserve is what you use. When you buy a BT, when the ordinary citizens, when this money is earned, it goes to the central bank. The central bank converts the equivalent that is to be shared in Naira, which is at the official rate of 306. Convert that equivalent into the federation account, which is shared by the tiers of government. That is the foreign company, that is sale of oil from NNPC and other receipts of dollars. Yeah. So now, the remaining money, that is the original, the Naira, the dollar now remains in the reserve. That's why I say the reserve is going up. The Naira has been spent by government, federal, state, local. Now, if the value goes down, and that's also part of the...
which value?
Of the Naira. Yes. That is the fiscal policy now. The fiscal and monetary policy comes into play now. If the value goes down, now, less Naira will be available for servicing of government, for sharing in the 3 tiers of government. And of course, the tiers of government needs the Naira.
So what will happen?
So that is why at some point you might not need to, you might not say, okay, because foreign reserve has gone up, you now start to drop the value. Because you need the value, the Naira component, the Naira value of it for services domestically, which you have to do domestically. And it's not everything, because as receipts comes in, you know what receipts comes in every month. For instance, before now, we used to have about 5 billion. I mean, at the peak of oil sales, we used to have about $5 billion coming every month as foreign receipts, as sale of oil. Yeah. At some point, when Buhari came to power, it dropped to as low as 500 million to 600 million as receipts coming in. And that's why the sharing reduced. That is what comes in as from sale of crude oil because of the price of the oil. So at that point, you will need enough Naira. And that's why the value will keep increasing.
Yeah, well, let's hit the nail on the head. The CBN is the prime finance or financial advisor to government.
Yeah.
Do you think our CBN, as composed today, is doing its job in that regard?
Well, in terms of efficiency and if I want to rate the performance of CBN, well, I will be fair by giving them 55. That's a C+. Because over the time, the CBN has always been like an appendage of government, speaking what government want to hear. It's at some point that...
Not independent?
No. Okay. It's at some point that the CBN governor will want to come up publicly, like as was done by Sanusi, Emir Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, to come up publicly to say, look, this is going wrong, and this is it. And of course, you know, the rest is history. So, given that scenario, I wouldn't say that CBN has performed optimally. In the last 2 years, even though everyone has been calling for the head, I'm one of those that call for the head of Emefiele. And I have my reasons, I still call for his head tomorrow. And I have my reasons for calling for his head. But the fact remains that some of the bureaucrats within the system has proven that, yes, they can navigate through troubled waters. I call for the head of Emefiele because of his too much romance with the banks, that are supposed to be the catalyst for development. But coming from the bank, he, first of all, represented his constituency very well and protected them very well. And that's also what I'm calling for.
Which is why a lot of folks are asking that you make a CBN governor who is not necessarily a banker.
Yeah. But Sanusi proved them wrong. Sanusi came up and said, look, because that question was asked to Sanusi, now you're MD of a bank, you went from First Bank, you have colleagues, will you still be, he said,
loyal to them?
He said that would be, in fact, he used a word on himself, that if he has to become the governor of Central Bank and still be thinking like an MD of a bank, then that means he doesn't know what he's doing. He has transmitted. And therefore, a central bank is not only for the banks, it's for both the bank, the market woman, the economy, the president, the governors, and everybody. So if you still been thinking of a bank, and that was why you see him go very hard on the banks, making them to go back to their core banking businesses, which Governor Emefiele came and reversed most of them and took us back to the areas when banks have their leeway.
All right.
Just let me talk about the bank. You see, we cannot grow the value of the Naira if the banks are not doing the basic thing they are supposed to do, giving out credit to small and medium scale enterprises for people to grow, not giving money to those that are already established. How easy can people access credit? Because for you to grow your economy, you need the small and medium scale enterprises. How easy for me to go to the banks and get loan? And that's why I think that the central bank has failed in its regulatory function. Now, when you talk about the need for central bank to be independent, some of us have advocated it. Just like you have the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Once he's appointed, he's insulated.
Is it possible?
It's about the law that you put in place to appoint the central bank governor. I get it. It's based on a term. Once you put those laws in place, once you put those structure in place, once you put those institutions, it will solve the problem. Because for us to grow this economy, we must help small and medium scale enterprises. We must improve saving culture of the people, because the basic form of investment is savings. How many Nigerians saves? For how many? We all use all our income are disposable income. It cannot even sustain you enough. So most Nigerians are not saving. And if you don't solve that problem, because what even makes...
Did they go to an ATM, you understand what you're saying?
You just visit we are always withdrawing, and then go into the bank and see how many people check the withdrawal line and check the deposit line.
Yeah.
It will give you an indication. So the central bank has a role to play in this. The commercial bank has a role to play in this. And whoever is the head of the central bank must not see himself as a friend or a colleague. No, first and foremost, a colleague of the bankers, and then a lackey of government. Because if we don't get it right, that's where, whether you like it or not, everything will still boil down to politics. That's where the political will comes in. Because if we don't improve the loan and credit system in the economy, there's no way this same story we are sharing today, we share tomorrow, we share in the next 5, 6, 7, 20 years. Because for us to grow this economy, people must have access to credit. And for people to have access to credit, the bank must be able to get money from the people for them to save. And once they save, we improve the economy. We are not dependent on import, and our foreign reserve grows, and then the economy will grow.
Lester, let's look at the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar vis-a-vis Bureau de Change.
Okay. Citizen, now that, in my first, I said we have stabilized, the value has stabilized over time. At the peak of the crisis, the Bureau de Change, in fact, they had to be reined in. Before now, they have been the driving force of the manipulation, because it is there that it is easier to get in.
Otherwise, some rates are artificial?
No, it's artificial at the black market, because it's not driven by any force of demand and supply. You know, the black market was supposed to be an unorganized market, but sometimes become an organized market, to the point that if you go to Jibowu and ask a Mala how much is dollar, he will tell you a price. Call somebody at Yaba, Ikeja. Call somebody in Sokoto. He will tell the price.
Because it's a cartel.
That makes it a cartel, an organized market. And the Bureau de Change, we are responsible for it. But
it's supposed to be unorganized.
I mean, he should not be knowing what he is selling. Because it's a black market. It's behind the scene. Nobody has information. Information is limited, okay, in such markets. Because if I go to Jibowu, I might get it for X amount. I said, no, I can call Ikeja, we're selling for this amount. But at that peak of the crisis, when everything becomes a haywire, everybody becomes everything. But again, now the fact is, then you see that their margin, the margin of the marketers of the Bureau de Change was almost, there was a day I went to change pounds, and when I look at the board, it's 40 Naira to a pound margin. So you are buying at, let's say 500, and you are selling at 540. Which was never, it was so artificial. And the people took Nigeria to the jugular. And so, but right now, I deal with them almost on a weekly or daily basis. The margin Everything has dropped to about 2-3 naira margin. And that is because this government and this CBN has been able to navigate around, make enough savings. Now they are now releasing money officially to the system. You know, at one point, they banned you cannot obtain BTA, you cannot pay school fees, you cannot pay medical fees, and all this. So those now put pressure in the black market. And then the black market now capitalize on those pressures.
There was huge demand.
Yes, but on those pressures, even when there was no demand, the day the announcement was, the rumor was said about the stoppage of school fees, that same day, the naira fell by almost 50 naira. Nobody has gone to ask me, just the rumor. Nigeria is a country that, and I was so angry because I said, we know our system. We are too reactive to even rumors. Yeah. Even the weather, the weather, we react to weather. If the weather changes now, the bus driver will change from 50 naira to 100 naira.
Because you are praised.
So these are some of the issues. So the whole thing was caught. And then, but today, citizen, our import bill has dropped from about 5 billion per month to about 1.9 billion. Save for petroleum.
That's progress?
Progress. Save for petroleum importation. I'm sure it'll have dropped further because petroleum takes almost, let me say, 20% of our foreign exchange requirement. Save for that, we'll have dropped further. Importation of rice has almost, I mean, it's almost gone because today domestic rice production has increased. Importation of frivolities.
Yeah, toothpicks and
another. It's almost giving way completely. So why would the import bill drop? So the more the import bill drops, and receipts continue to rise, then there will be the CBN will have no choice but to allow some form of market forces to work and to bring it down.
I hope not evil forces.
No.
He said something about oil import constituting 20% of our foreign exchange
demands and so on.
Demand and supply. Now, how do you solve that problem? Simple. Once you put the refinery in place, and if you have the resources to put the refinery in place, you'll have dropped it by how many percent? Just the refinery. You'll have dropped it by 20% of your foreign exchange. It still boils down to the political will. For us to achieve, look, citizen, most of the people that have stolen money from this country, their money are in what? In naira or in dollars?
In dollars.
Do you think they will desire for the value of the dollar to be? Just imagine that tomorrow the value of naira to a dollar is 2 naira to $1. And these are still the actors and the players in the economy. These are still people that are involved in the policy making. Now, we talk about Ghana is working in Ghana because the way
the political will is there.
Is there, and the money, and the Ghanaians and their money is in Ghana. And you don't see their politicians going to Dubai, going to UK. So that aspect of it.
A piece of cheering news here. The Nigerian army has bought into patronizing innocent motors.
I was glad. I was really glad. I was really thrilled that we could. Citizen, you know, at the point in the 80s, early 90s, when you have shoes, said about shoe, about this, about that, about that, about that, about that. If we had invested in Abba will compete with China, Abba will compete with Japan, Abba will compete with Malaysia. So for us to get this thing right, we must get industrialization back to Nigeria. There is the need for us to boost that economy. Otherwise, we'll still be talking about policies, we'll still be talking about foreign exchange and the rest of it. Because if you don't get those industrialization right, there's no way the Naira can grow.
All right. If you have just joined us, the debate is very healthy. I hope you are a part of it. With $40 billion plus in the kitty, should the Naira remain at the rate it is? Please, let's share this break and return. All All right, welcome back. At 305 Naira to the dollar and 360 in the parallel market, is the Naira undervalued? Let's probe further. Gentlemen, when I hear that the textile factories in this country at a time constituted the largest employer of labor in this country, it sounds almost unbelievable. Everybody thought about the civil service and so on.
No.
But the textile factories are down.
Not only the textile factory. You need to go to Ikeja industrial estate, you know, when you go to Oba Akran, and I grew up around that axis, and I knew if you go there at every turn of every 6 hours, you see people shifting, you see sea of earth. If you go through there now, it's full of banks and the rest of it.
And
NTM churches. NTM used to be there. Most of our warehouses have become churches. Until we get that, until we go back to the basics. The basics in the sense that we produce Nigeria, we consume Nigeria, we build our infrastructure. There are a lot of tourist potentials in Nigeria. Once we build it, we earn it. Rather than be spending it, we'll be earners. How did Dubai build its economy? Through tourism. Building their infrastructure, inviting people. It is through the hospitality business. So we need to look inward.
Dubai,
what are the things?
Bringing water to a desert.
Exactly. What are the things that we have that could earn us money? What are the things that we had money from in the 60s, in the 70s? Can we? Sometimes going forward is going backward. Because if you are going on a journey that has no end, that leads to no point, what is the essence of going on that journey and back on a journey that has no end? It would be better for you to do what? To go back. And I think we need to have a rethink in the sense that what is it that we are doing that make the value of the Naira to be strong in the 60s, in the 70s?
That we cannot do today.
That we cannot do today. So that we go back to that and we do it. Because this thing does not require rocket science.
No, it doesn't.
I hope Obilu is in tune with us. Welcome. You are calling us from Gombe. Welcome.
Yes, my name is Odili, not Obili.
Oh, okay. It's all right. I'm sorry. Odili. Let's go.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. I want to start from where Mr. Gide stopped. Tourism can earn to Nigeria more than what it is doing to Kenya. Take it or leave it. TVC showed a documentary on one of the tourism sites in Ondo State that has been left to rot, that can earn Ondo State millions of dollars, if not Naira, annually. Why not get investors to revive that place? Even in Gombe here, there are so many tourist attractions. Mountains, beautiful mountains where you can build hotel, build 18-hole golf course. Nobody is ready to invest in it. All our chiefs are interested in is taking money abroad to spend in other people's economy.
Going into politics, Odile.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Yes.
And he reminds me. Okay.
Talking about micro, small and medium enterprises.
Yeah.
When they want to, hello.
Yeah, you're on.
When they want to give certain facilities, the powers that be will collect names of their cronies and all whatnot. They will first of all give to those people who have nothing to do with the actual business that is at stake.
Odile, many thanks. All boils down to political will.
Yes,
gentlemen.
I was trying to go there. Like we were saying backstage. In the 80s, in 70s, when late Governor Sam Bakwe was the governor of old Imo State, which is today almost 3 states, the investment he made in Aba Arena market was tremendous.
And he was not from Aba?
No, he was not from Aba. But he made so much investment in Aba. In terms, that's why Aba was popularized as Aba made and all whatnot. All those shoes and all those things that were made in Aba. He built facilities, roads, and everything. That is where the state governors, and I will always shout on this, the state governors need to open up their eyes. And not everybody talking about, the source control. Look at someone talking about Ondo State. Ondo State has oil, but do you know of what the waterfall can do for them? And nobody's talking, and they're not talking about it. Every day, our focus is on federal government, Buhari, Jonathan, Obasanjo. Meanwhile, the states who are supposed to be the engine room for the environment, for the environment in their own locality, as to increase productivity in their own locality. Because when you increase productivity in their locality, you earn money, you earn taxes. Just take the call.
All right, Hassan is joining us from Lekki here in Lagos. Welcome, Hassan.
Good morning, everybody.
I greet you.
This is a very big topic so far about the economy and where we were before, where we are today, and where we are going to be in future. But what is very clear here, is the history of the collapse of Naira started with the military regime under former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, when he introduced SAP and now devalued the Naira. For only God knows why. But what is very clear to all of us, that is detrimental to our economy, detrimental to our well-being, and we are still battling with it up till tomorrow. Number two, other people joined. The banks are not helping matters. The banks are speculators. They were involved in hoarding dollars, the inflows. We knew it's an open secret. Secondly, and something happened during the regime of President Muhammad Buhari. It's highly patriotic. Mr. Wilcox mentioned one very profound, important matter. He said when Buhari came in, the Naira, we began to buy Naira less than the amount churned out by CBN. That means there was improvement in the Naira value. But something happened. There was this issue of the price of crude oil. You understand? There is this issue of bank holding dollars.
Yeah.
Because the dollars people are buying them, it's not reflecting. It's not reflecting in the imports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what is very clear, some people resorted to self-help. Yeah. Because the people in the private sector are not helping people. And even the people that came on board then, providing solutions, is still people lack knowledge about how economics works.
Exactly.
Thank you.
In the sense that people are ready to forgo the value of the Naira, platter of foreign investment. And I don't know
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you very kindly. Gentlemen, he hit on the nail I erected earlier on. Yes. Babangida devalued the Naira 3 times. I cannot forget it. And you had the Dutch auction, American and on, and debated taking the IMF loan. Everybody did, including my grandmother and the woman who sells pepper. Sfem and so on.
Everything.
Yet the loan was taken. Here we are today.
Let me just say this. What Babangida did had a very, in fact, even Ghana did it. Most stalwart countries, because that was when the World Bank was trying to reorganize the financial structures of many countries. Vis-a-vis having enough local currency to run local
Were
services.
the reasons altruistic?
No. The fact remains that there are some things that are necessary to be done at that time.
Okay.
Because, number one, you are having fewer... African countries depend on exports of their raw materials to earn foreign currencies. And their services and domestic requirements are growing. For instance, if Naira was still at 1 Naira to $1, and we are earning, let's say, 5 billion Naira in a month.
Oh, come on.
You only have 5 million. You only have 5 billion Naira to share among the 3 tiers of government. Without pay salaries of Ekiti State or without pay salaries of Akwa Ibom State.
All right, so, let me take Ahmed please. In Kaduna. Welcome, Ahmed.
Good morning, gentlemen.
I greet you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, panelists.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Yeah, I want to answer your question. Is the Naira undervalued? The answer is yes, as of now. Pricing of the Naira or foreign exchange is a function of demand and supply. As it is now, there is enough supply of dollars into the nation's economy, as in foreign reserve. So I think the equilibrium price of the dollar should be at about 250 Naira. Now, going back to my answer that it's a function of demand and supply, I think the government can also encourage export. The only way you can increase supply of foreign exchange into your economy is through exports. Now, in Nigeria, I think we have reached a level where just relying on agric and be exporting agricultural commodities have passed. We should be thinking about how to add value to what we make and then export it. Add value to products. For example, let me give an example of Cadbury and Nestle. In 2016, Cadbury and Nestle use cocoa for their products mostly. Yeah. Now, 80% of their product, they got it from Cote d'Ivoire. Now, the entire export of Cote d'Ivoire of cocoa for that year, 2016, was $3 billion. Now, in 2016, Cadbury and Nestle combined profit for 2016 was $32 billion. This will tell you that adding value, what they did was they added value to all these chocolates and drinks that we get and then ship it back to us through their companies, and then we buy their product again. Now, Nigeria has the strength of strengthening our manufacturing companies to add value to all these products that we do, even if it is not to a completely finished product, a semi-finished product. At least adding sweet, then we take it out there, and then by adding that little value onto the value chain, we are creating some employment and exporting it and gaining some more foreign reserve. One of the panelists rightly said, by next year or next 2 years, when Dangote refinery comes on stream, dollar supply will be so much because the demand will be lower. And then with this rice revolution that is going on, by God's grace, I believe very soon the Naira will be very strong. But we must also have the political will of our leaders to bring down, to make sure that the Naira is rightly priced. As it is now, the other time, last week or two, I had the CBN Minister of Petroleum talking about giving dollars as concessionary rate to importers of petroleum products.
So
I was against it. I was like, they would rather strengthen the Naira so that the dollar will be at an affordable price for every other person.
That's it.
It can be imported at that, not without giving them any kind of subsidy. I think we are all suffering for it now. The dollar is overpriced as it is now.
Ahmed, and we've been suffering for a long time.
Let me also say this, which Hazan maybe didn't add. You know, this thing is a function of input and output. Now, and that reason why the government may not deliberately want to bring in that, because we also receive FDIs, foreign direct investments, into the country. So they also need enough Naira. Today, if your brother is sending you money from the UK now or anywhere, you go to change it, you get a little bit good Naira. So if it is dropped further, you get the lower Naira. And so that's also, we also discourage FDIs from coming in. Because part of, so there must be that balancing between the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, and all other factors put together. Because the FDIs are bringing their money, they also need enough Naira domestically. So until we get to, and as I say, 40 billion for our one kind of economy is a child's play. Yeah, we are going somewhere, but it's still a child's play. I'm sure by the time we get to 100 billion, a country like Dubai has over 200 and something billion in their, Qatar, in their sovereign wealth fund.
Because you all go there.
No, in their sovereign wealth fund.
Just a minute.
Because they've added value to their country.
If the inflow coming in is big enough, and then you see that it starts dropping.
I'm sure you'll love to spend your next holiday there.
Ghana, so please.
George is here in Ikeja, Lagos. Welcome, George.
Good morning, Sister Jones.
I greet you.
Sister Jones, I'm a bit worried at the position or the argument of Alesta this morning. He said that there will be no sufficient Naira to share for servicing governance. One thing he seems to have forgotten is that the price mechanism in Nigeria, because we are import dependent, the price mechanism is determined by the value of the dollar. So if the value of the dollar reduces, what we pay to get dollar, if the Naira reduces today, it will also affect the value that we place on the goods that we import. We don't need the liquid cash. What we need is the value that the cash gives us. So the government should allow the dollar to find its level. We can't have $40 billion somewhere, and then we are suffering, on due inflation here.
Thank you.
So let me talk about the value.
Yeah.
Now, American...
you had the tail end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
American trades in dollar. We trade in Naira. How do you improve the value? If you see the last two callers are made from Kaduna and then George from Lagos. We can increase the value of our Naira by building our infrastructure, by building our industries, by building our airports. Exactly. You have all traveled outside of Nigeria. The moment you come back to Nigeria, look at the state of our airports, the departure lounge and the arrival lounge. Look at the state of our infrastructure. What would it take you to travel from here? Can you do business in Nigeria in 3 cities? Say you do in Lagos, in Benin, and then in Kaduna, and be back in Lagos the same day.
Impossible.
Is it possible? Until we increase those value, all these countries we are talking about, there is an added value they build for their nation. And that, the way country build value for their nation is through infrastructure and industrialization. And until we do that, we cannot earn foreign exchange earning. Qatar we spoke about is about tourism. Ghana, at a point in time, when Alexis talked about something, from 2006 to, look around 2009, what happened? There's a drift of Nigerians going to Ghana. Yes. Students going to Ghana, Nigerians going
including Alex.
Alex, he said he wants to go to Ghana.
Yeah. And I go every time. I must come. And I go, and whenever I come, I buy one souvenir, or in fact, or something.
Exactly.
But we don't have it in Nigeria. No,
tell me
because Ghana has added value to their country, and as a result of that, the value of their currency improves. So we need to add value. Government do not need to keep money in one account or the other. Let them invest.
No, they're not keeping the money.
Now, I'm not talking about even the foreign. No, I'm just talking generally.
Yes, they're not keeping this money. This money is what we use. For instance, now, Nigeria is about, okay, let me say 180 million. The traveling population of Nigeria is about 18 million. Let's say 10% of the traveling population of Nigeria every year, 18 million. And the government has even made provision for you at $4,000 per quarter. So assuming the whole 18 million Nigerians travel every year, and you buy BTA. So this is what those money are meant for. You do import. These are what those are. So, but when there is more receipts as against a demand that goes out, that's when it keep improving. And it goes to the point when you will have too much that you cannot afford to still peg your price at that level.
Let me take Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu. Welcome, Mazi.
Good morning, Mr. Jones. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Mazi,
Igwe. You see, Nigerian monetary policy continue changing daily. Even the regulatory body, that's the Apex Bank, so the way they monitor, to me, I'm not comfortable. What the banks are doing, it looks somehow. Now, you ask yourself, in Nigeria today, if you go to the bank today to ask for dollars, the same bank official will direct you to black market. Is that how it's obtainable? It's not. Because when you walk to the bank, you need dollars. They will comfortable attend to it. But today, now you ask yourself, today in Nigeria, 10 to 15% of Nigerians, that is in terms of savings. Now, how many people save? 85% of Nigerians don't save. Now, like what the accountant was just saying about Abba. Abba is a very, honestly speaking, if I have my way, it's short, I'll just go to the bank and come to our area market. There are 80% of people who want to expand their business, get what they want, and just they will feed this country. But the question now is, when they approach the bank, what they say that collateral. How do we start collateral if the banks don't come to monitor all this money? That is the problem. Yeah. Collateral is the major problem people are facing in Aba today. And Aba is ready to feed this country. You don't need to consult anywhere. We are talking about Dubai. What is it? Dubai is only that tourism that makes Dubai to be booming everywhere. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Not just about feeding the country. Aba is starving. Is being starved of attention. And you are asking if these things are willful.
Just like
deliberate.
Transamadi is being starved of attention. Transamadi in Port Harcourt.
Transamadi.
Just like the 16 to 18 industries in the old Cross River State.
Yeah, yeah.
That's more than 3/4 of them is in the current Akwa Ibom State.
Oh, yeah.
It's been starved of attention. You see, we lost it. And the unfortunate thing is that even though in some of those states we have financial gurus, bankers, ex-bankers as current governors and those who have held hold sway, they're still drifted in this euphoria of not knowing what to do with what has been existing.
And we have it in Lagos State.
Yeah.
Now, I put it to you.
Yeah.
Let me just take this. Look at the two parks. Kanu Park, you know, Kanu Park, if you go to Mobolaji Bankatoni, and the JKT Park. Yeah. They were just espace of land that were of no value. Value were added to those parks. And then you need to go through that road and you see the number of people that visit that place. It's just a matter of time. People will travel from abroad to visit that park and you hand money. So once we improve the value, what are the areas in which government could work on? Tourism, hospitality business. Look at what football does to the British economy.
We'll come to there. Wale is reaching us from Abeokuta. Welcome, Wale.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I greet you.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. God bless you, sir. But I really like your comment this morning that you bring on the TV show. Anyway, I'm not staying in Nigeria, though I'm still in Nigeria. My brother over there just mentioned that Qatar, you know, we can't compare Qatar to Nigeria. Qatar is a very small country, right? But they have the resources that it takes to feed their nation. Sure, you get me? But being to our standard in Nigeria, our standard, and be on before when we take independence, we don't have any structure for a good structure for citizens of this country. Sure, you get me? Qatar is a very small country, but Qatar doesn't have what we have in Nigeria, but we are still suffering.
Yeah.
You get my point? So now we are blame. Fine, we have to shift all this blame to our leaders because they don't take us as good citizens of this country. So they want us to suffer. Our good citizen, brain engineer, all of them in abroad. Everybody is finding a way to feed his family or to live a very good life. So you get me?
Yeah.
So I comment to you. I just want to drop my how I feel about the nation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Wale. It goes beyond just our leaders. Followers too. Our sense of value.
Our taste.
Our taste.
Our taste is the major driving force.
I hope the youth will forgive me here and won't say I'm old school. A Nigerian musician makes money. The next thing he goes for is a Bugatti.
Exactly.
Why can't he go for innocent?
Why should he?
Why can't he go for innocent?
Citizen.
Why should he?
Part of what I said, which somebody misunderstood, is the fact that the Naira is what is used to finance the economy, local goods and services for government. So you need at least a large, to fund your budget.
You're closing your thoughts.
Yes, to fund your budget. So at that point, the Naira will still need some level of appreciation, level of depreciation to get that local currency. That's one. Then two, if today there is a change in the value, maybe come down to 100, and everybody will go back to the importation business. Our taste is high for import goods. That's why our tasters are all dead, because our taste for foreign tasters and foreign things, foreign everything will be there. So that is also where government must also control. So, but if as every citizen we begin to think Nigeria, grow Nigeria, eat Nigeria, wear Nigeria, move Nigeria, I'm sure with no time we will create enough reserve as even make our Naira as low as
there's a template that is working. On yearly basis, the revenue of Lagos keep increasing. There's an investment on tourism. There's a projection on hospitality. There's an intention on sporting excellence. You need to visit Agege Stadium when FFM is playing and see what it has done to that local economy. And when we make investment in this, we increase the value of the state, we increase the value of the nation, and once you add value to the nation, the value of Naira will increase. There's a difference between pure water and table water. You know the difference is the packaging, but the content is the same. Thank you.
Maybe sometimes not the quality. We'll drop anchor here, but not before thanking you folks. Dr. Jide Johnson, many thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
I hope I just wish you could earn more Naira after saying all this. Yeah. And Alester Wilcox, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll start sending bills to TVC. Thank you.
Social service. Thank you.
Okay, then, let's close like this. Let's think about the national currency. It is our only legal tender. And our regret is that the Naira does not travel far anymore. What it gains in speed here, it loses in distance there. We can arrest the Naira. We can. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.